What's the word, ladies and gentlemen? This is Andrew. Today I have a loadout review. That's right, guys, I haven't done one of these in quite a while, so you'd be pleased to see that I finally got around to doing another one and actually have the COBALT variant of the card I am covering today. So, today's loadout card will be the G75 Veteran Sniper for Red Eye. Isn't it so pretty? Yeah, so that's my COBALT card. We'll be going over its weapons, augments, overall viability on the playing field, as well as comparing it to other loadout cards. And for those who missed it, I actually did a full review on Red Eye as a merc earlier. So if you haven't seen it, if you're curious, go ahead and click here on the link. I'll go ahead and bing, there you go. So for the G75 Veteran Sniper, for those who aren't familiar, the first three characters in a loadout card will tell you what weapons it gets. So the G stands for the Grandeur SR, the 7 for the Cauldron, and the 5 for the Kukri knife. For augments, we get Untrackable, Bomb Squad, and Quick Draw. And finally, I'm sure you guys are all curious, but the skin I have is the Platinum variant. Sadly, I didn't get the full blue COBALT version of this card. Makes me so sad. Yeah, don't rub it in, guys. It'll make me very butthurt. Anyways, Red Eye's signature weapon is the Grandeur, and this is the primary weapon of this loadout. For stats, it will hit for 40 damage per shot to the body or 80 damage to the head, which means you'll be able to one-shot headshot Frailer mercs like Aura and Sparks. Its rate of fire, though, comes in at a slow 201 RPM, but its magazine size is quite sizable at 12 rounds. The reload speed is 2.5 seconds, and this weapon, you know, you either love it or you hate it, guys. I find myself flip-flopping between those two states. The Grandeur has the damage, but it's also got a ridiculous kick, recoil, whatever you want to call it, and hipfire spread if you spam the weapon. And because of that, you can't be nearly as aggressive as you would be with the Dryce. Did I say that right? Dryce? Because your hipfire isn't nearly as reliable, but you can't necessarily snipe as easily as you could with the nice scope of the PDP-70. I hate iron sights. I really do, guys. I really hate iron sights. You'll notice that in a lot of the footage here that I'm doing like a mix of hipfire and ADS, or aiming down sights. Now, if I do hipfire, I try my best to slow down my shots so that the spread resets before I take the second hipfire shot. But if you're unsure if you like the weapon, you know, don't worry, because you're not the only one. I mean, I just use it because, I mean, come on, it's new and shiny, so you just have to use it. You know, you just gotta make it work. It's just new, it's awesome. No, but in all seriousness, this weapon does have its quirks, and you will have to sit down and learn how to use it. You know, some people like aiming down sights all the time with it, but the one thing you cannot do is run around spamming it in CQC. That's just not gonna get you anywhere. Now, the secondary is indeed the Cauldron, which has to be one of my least favorite pistols. It's one of the harder hitting low-cal semi-autos with 19 damage per shot, per body shot, which is what, 38 damage to the head. This may sound all well and dandy, but if you take a look at its magazine size, it's 7 rounds. And with a rate of fire of 361, you'll be burning through those rounds pretty quickly. Not to mention, 19 damage is like such an awkward number, right? I mean, you'll often have to land one extra shot when you compare it to like the Desert Eagle, which will do 20 damage per shot. Now, if you're out of ammo for your primary and you have to rely on this pistol to bring down people from 100%, I would say you are in some serious trouble. Because I seriously wish the loadout came with like the M9 or the Self-Stop, both of which feature a high rate of fire, higher magazine size, and you trade that for 15 damage per bullet, which I think is a fair trade. You know, this is just sort of my opinion. I don't like the Cauldron. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, in the melee slot, we have the Kukri knife, which is supposed to be a middle ground between the full katana and the regular knives. Now, it does 55 damage per slash, and the lunge will hit for 85 damage. I'm just gonna put it out there, guys. I have a lot of fun meleeing people with this weapon. I don't know why, but it's a lot of fun. I will have to say, though, Red Eye's 400 movement speed, you know, that's gonna make you a little slower. So I had a hard time catching up with the faster mercenaries. But given that it does 85 damage, I would highly recommend using the lunge technique or lunge animation on 80 to 90 HP mercs, and if they get away, if they're like 90 HP, they get away with 5 HP, you should just finish them off with your pistol. Don't try to chase them if they run away, because you're not going to catch them. Alright, now for the augments. First up is Untrackable, which is a little weird with this merc, I'll be very honest. The augment is supposed to increase the time for automated defenses like turrets and mines to react by 30%. Now, what is super interesting about this perk is that you can actually dodge a mine given that you are sprinting with your cookery out and you long jump right over it. Now, I tested this with and without the Untrackable Augment, and it seems as though that the extra 30% difference actually is significant enough to determine whether or not you take damage. With the default loadout, if you jump over the mine, you know, with all the same conditions, with the cookery out, it'll hit you for about 40 to 50 damage, give or take. With Untrackable, it seems very consistent that you can dodge the blast radius entirely, given that you're sprinting and given that you long jump right over it with the cookery knife out. Next up, we have Bomb Squad, which highlights enemy mines with a big flashing glow. Now, this highlight only shows up for you, so your teammates won't be able to benefit from this perk directly. You know, however, I would say the perk does come in handy. It's gotta be one of my, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but one of my favorites. There have been many times when I've turned around a corner and noticed a mine just in time, primarily because of the bigger glow radius. Now, it does seem to be very complementary to Untrackable, I will give it that. So if you're the type who's like a total mine magnet, this combination might be perfect for you. But I will say though, regarding the IR goggles and the mines, because the IR goggles makes everything black and white, I would say the glow from the mines become way less visible, right? Because it just kind of blends in with the rest of the environment. With Bomb Squad, that mitigates this problem a little bit because now the glow is like a big solid ring around the mines. So it's a bit easier to spot it. Now, the final augment is Quick Draw, and I would like to mention that this augment improves the switch time on how fast you can draw out your weapon from switching it out from something else in your hands. So, say if you're dropping smoke, right? You'll be able to bring out your Grandeur ever so slightly faster. And I'm not exactly sure how useful this perk is, given that I don't think you'll be switching things that often. I mean, sure, if you're like an engineer, you'll be doing repairing or carrying objectives and switching between your turrets or mines, and yeah, maybe it'll be decent, but as it stands, I don't find this augment particularly useful on Red Eye. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, maybe the Grandeur has a very long equip time where this actually matters, but honestly, if you're caught in a really bad, awkward situation where you have to quickly whip out your Grandeur, I would say you're screwed anyways, because as I mentioned before, the Grandeur probably isn't the best weapon to take out in those frantic situations. All in all, I would say this loadout is the best of the Grandeur loadouts, which honestly is not saying much if you take a look at the other ones, the G52 and the G41. Is the G75 Veteran Sniper the best loadout for Red Eye? Well, if you want to use his exclusive weapons, the Grandeur and the Kukri, this is your loadout. In fact, this is the only loadout currently. However, looking at Red Eye's loadouts as a whole, there are three good ones, quote unquote. I'm doing air quotes here. Good ones, which essentially are the 75s, the P75, the D75, and of course your lovely G75. Now, I won't go into which of these three are my favorites, as that is a whole nother video, but I can tell you that while the G75 isn't necessarily a bad loadout, it's not necessarily outstanding either. The best thing with this loadout is that you have the combination of both new weapons, and you can avoid mines like no other. So don't complain if you happen to get this in COBALT. I mean, don't be like, oh god, the G75, because it's definitely a viable loadout, definitely not the worst one. And with all that said and done, I think this wraps up today's video. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Let's shoot for 100 likes on this video. A little ambitious, but I think we can do it. If you're new to my channel, be sure to check out some of my other videos. I do tons of Dirty Bomb content. And I think I'm just about done for today, so I'll see you guys in the next episode.